Perfect.
that. Look at us go.
Okay.
That looks so profesh.
Profesh. So true.
I can move my
What
computer.
the heck is this thing? This.
All 50 computers that you have.
Whenever.
Ah,
Front.
okay. Yes. I love 3 computers.
Yeah.
I guess I should say that during my intro, pretty much right after I say we're group 1, we'll go to the next slide,
Okay.
and then I'll start talking about everything that we're gonna do. I'm gonna say something about the 5th dysfunction, and then as I'm handing it off,
Next
then
one.
we do the funny one.
This?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's the funny one.
And then Kyle actually
And
starts.
then Kyle will start, and then
Okay.
we'll have
Coolio.
less funny.
Cool.
Last funny stuff. Get all serious.
Alright.
I'm all business.
Are we ready?
Ready?
Everyone?
Sure.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Okay. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. We are group 1, and we are here to talk to you about the 5th dysfunction of the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and that is inattention to results. I will be your moderator. I will continue to introduce this, and I will be concluding today's presentation. Kyle will be going through some case studies and some examples of this dysfunction in action, and he will explain how you can overcome the dysfunction in a team setting. Then Laura will be evaluating our individual strengths and weaknesses through our individual Myers-Briggs type indicators. She will be talking about what each of our indicators brought to the team and what problems came up with our indicators as they collided. And that will be followed by Ariel, who will talk about our strengths and weaknesses based off of our interactions with our Myers-Briggs type indicators. And she will also talk a little bit about our feedback that we did anonymously through the survey, the survey made by Patrick Lencioni. And then I will wrap up. So, the 5th dysfunction, inattention to results. It is at the top of the pyramid because everything that every other group has talked about builds up to this dysfunction, and this really can be the most critical and damaging dysfunction to a team. And now I'm going to hand it off to Kyle, who will talk a little more about the dysfunction.
Right. Thanks, Seth. So all we know that inattention to results and really all of the 5 dysfunctions are really destructive and damaging to a team. It's also important to know what inattention to results exactly means and kind of how that plays itself out in organizations. So inattention to results can manifest itself in a number of ways, but the first and most obvious way is a team without a common goal or without a shared goal is directionless and doesn't really have a common thing that they're working towards, doesn't have a shared idea that they're all going towards. So nothing is really too big of a success and nothing's really too big of a failure. It's just kind of all gray. So there's a lot of room open to just not really going towards anything, because any amount of work is really would be seen as like kind of passable unless it's like really obviously wrong or really clearly exceeding expectations, but there's not a main goal everyone's working towards. And then really at its core, inattention to results is when not every team member is working towards the same goal and putting their own agendas or anything other than the common good ahead of the team goal. And that's definitely can be played out when a team does not have a shared goal. But oftentimes a team will have a common goal or will have a sort of shared thing that they're all working towards, yet there will still be a lot of inattention to results, and the end goal is not really prioritized in a lot of ways. And that can really play itself out in two main ways. And the first of those is team members being lulled into a state of inactivity or stagnation due to the status of the team. So like, for example, if a person was on a team at a very like high-ranking company or at like a really prestigious university, there would just be satisfaction of being just on the team or just part of that group, and there wouldn't be any like real passionate work towards a goal or towards success, because there would just be satisfaction from having that status and for being on that team in the first place. And that's kind of the first way that you'll see it. And the second very common way that intentional results can be seen in teams that do share common goals is when an individual is putting their own status or their own success ahead of the good and success of the team. So, for example, like on a sports team, you see that all the time. If one player is more concerned about their own stats or their own recognition for things rather than the whole team working together to achieve a goal, whatever that might be. And obviously that will be just very damaging to the team and will cause the team to suffer. Everyone is kind of working towards in different directions, looking for their own good. No matter how talented your staff is, it'll never reach its full potential if everyone's kind of working towards their own thing rather than towards a common goal. So yeah, and this can be seen in the real world in a lot of ways, and there are many examples we can see that are just given to us every day on a daily basis. I'm sure we've all been parts of teams where that is things. So like in Lencioni's book, it's definitely seen with the executive team at Decision Tech. They really suffer from the two. They do have a common goal. They want to provide good product. They want to make a good profit. They have these goals, but at the same time, they still really have two very glaring cases of inattention results. And the first is Decision Tech was so highly touted and was so well-funded, got so much attention early on that the executive team was sort of just okay with that and didn't really take any steps to like further that reputation or to further that success. And then so they were kind of left in stagnation, didn't really grow from that. And then as you can see, where the book picks up 2 years later when Catherine takes over, they are really in a state of almost chaos and ruin at that point. And when Catherine comes in, due to the fact that they had such high expectations, and then they sort of were dissatisfied with those expectations and didn't do anything to live up to that. And the second way is there are also definitely members of the team that are functioning more as individuals rather than working towards a team goal. You definitely see that with Mikey in the book when she is obviously very talented, a very talented employee, very good at what she does, and yet still she is honestly like poisonous to the team because she cares more about her own recognition, thinks more highly of her own talents, and looks out for herself more than the rest of the team. And you can see that eventually being her ruin, and she does wind up getting fired. And Lencioni does give us other examples of what a dysfunctional team might look like, or just a team that's not focused on results, or a team that's not headed towards the same goal, in that it'll be stagnant and it'll fail to grow. It will rarely defeat competitors, loses achievement-oriented employees, encourages team members to focus on their own careers and individual goals, and is easily distracted. And that's definitely, you see all those played out in the book. And beyond just the book, even in the real world, like in the Apollo 13 movie, we can see, and while that was a movie, it was still about real events. So, and in that same thing, the Apollo 13 mission, everything was done perfectly, everything was orchestrated so well up until there was just one small mistake, just one little thing that was left unnoticed, and that honestly led to all the mission falling into just complete chaos almost, and almost losing the lives of 3 men just because the result of getting the mission safely launched and getting them to the moon, that result wasn't achieved fully, and that there was still one mistake left there. That yeah, it's NASA, yeah, they're working towards common goal, they're very famous, very have a lot of recognition, but still they failed to carry through on bringing good results to their work. And it was wound up being the ruin of the team. And beyond that, even a more modern example, Toyota in 2009, 2010 recalled several million vehicles for having faulty accelerator pedals, and either they would stick and people would press and the accelerator wouldn't come back up and it would go forward, like it would stop accelerating, or the floor mat would get stuck on top of the accelerator and press it down to the floor. And Toyota had to recall a lot, like millions of their vehicles, and then it wound up being very damaging to them because they even admitted later that they were aware of this potential safety hazard and were aware of the danger that it posed if they didn't do anything to really change it, and like intentionally misled and deceived customers to not really seeing that was a potential danger, not really understanding the problem that was. And while they put safety as one of their goals, and they put drivers getting to where they're going without having to worry about things like that happening, and just having really just a safe drive, they didn't really carry through on that. And then while Toyota is one of the biggest car companies in the world, they still didn't follow through on their results, and it wound up having a extremely terrible situation that resulted in the deaths of many people, and also resulted in them having to try and mislead millions of their customers. And so as awful and as destructive as that dysfunction can be, Lencioni does still offer some methods to overcome that. And the first he says is having a public declaration of goals and intended results, and having specific things that the team is working for, and that those are well known by everyone. Because if that is very common knowledge and very open to everyone, the whole team will be working towards that, and will just have a passion and desire to live up to those goals because everyone knows about it. There's an expectation to it, and kind of just gives a goal to work towards, and it's something that is really wanted and desired by the team. And the second thing he talks about is tying rewards to specific outcomes. So maybe offering a raise to your highest salesperson on a team, or giving increased vacation time to someone who meets so-and-so goal or whatever, and putting these specific rewards tied to specific outcomes, and not just giving them for trying hard or for doing your best, but literally putting forward actual goals that employees can work towards, and putting actual things that the whole staff can come together to work towards. And it just motivates just a really unique sense of just passion and desire to do the job. And so much of those things Lencioni also points out is leadership plays a huge role in that, because if leadership isn't prioritizing results and isn't prioritizing going towards goals, then everyone below them is going to follow suit and not do the same, and also act in that way and not pursue goals, not pursue common results. And you can see those things played out in certain ways. Like, for example, in the Lencioni book, Catherine implements a lot of those things, prioritizes goals, prioritizes results, and everyone below her slowly follows in turn and changes. And then you see characters who were maybe suffering from being attentive to results, such as like Martin, who in the beginning of the book is only looking out for his own individual things, like sitting on his computer at meetings, or wanting to go to the sales meeting, or wanting to go to the sales call, changing and going in with the team, and it winding up helping him thrive and succeed as an employee. Or in the Apollo 13 mission, everyone coming together and working towards specific results, whether it be finding how to restart a command module without drawing too much power, or finding out how to filter out carbon dioxide out of the thing so the astronauts wouldn't suffocate. There was just common goals and common results that everyone was working towards that were specific, and there were specific goals and things that everyone had that they were working towards. And so all those things, as Lencioni says, when there's a team that is focused on collective results, they will retain achievement-oriented employees, minimize individualistic behavior, enjoy success and suffers failure acutely, benefit from individuals who subjugate their own goals and interests for the good of the team, and they will also avoid distractions. So it is a very real dysfunction, but there are effective ways to overcome it, and yeah, that's the case study. So Ariel and Laura will be talking about our team dynamics as well now.
Thank you, Kyle. I'll be talking about our individual MBTI results and how that affected our group interactions. So we'll start with Kyle. Kyle was an ENFP, otherwise known as the campaigner. Typical ENFP personalities are true free spirits and thrive in creative environments. Some of the strengths of an ENFP are being curious, observant, enthusiastic, and a great communicator. However, some of his weaknesses include overthinking things and having a hard time focusing. Kyle always showed up with a smile on his face, ready to work and have a good time. His intuition allowed him to read between the lines of group dynamics, and his extroversion made him energetic and connected to the group. Overall, he came up with a lot of big ideas and was always a person our group could turn to have a good time and lighten the mood. Ariel is an ISFJ, also known as the Defender. The classic ISFJ personality type is very unique and able to adapt to many situations because of their uncommon personality letter pairings. They are feelers, but they are also able to analyze. They are introverted, but also have very good social skills. Some of their strengths include being supportive, reliable, patient, and enthusiastic, while weaknesses lie in being too humble, shy, and reluctant to change. Ariel was a very hard worker and was very good at thinking outside of the box. She was also very sweet and thoughtful and very sarcastic as well. Her J personality type kept the group focused and on task as well as staying organized. Seth is an INFJ, otherwise known as the Advocate. Although they are soft-spoken, they have very strong opinions and will fight hard for any idea they believe in. Some of an INFJ's strengths include being creative, insightful, determined, and passionate. However, some weaknesses include being a perfectionist, always needing to have a cause, and burning out on projects easily. Seth kept the group on track. He was able to clear any confusion within the group and was also very strong in his convictions. He did not have many opinions when it came to small details, but was able to hold his ground on things he believed in. Overall, Seth was a very hard worker and did a lot of small tasks that were crucial to the success of the presentation. Finally, I'm an ESTP, otherwise known as the Entrepreneur. ESTPs like to make an impact on their surroundings and stay in a light, energetic environment. Some strengths include being rational, practical, original, and sociable, while weaknesses include being insensitive, impatient, and unstructured. Although none of us had a common personality type that we all shared, I think this enabled us to balance each other out well. Kyle and I were both extroverts and loved to be around people, and even though Ariel and Seth were both introverts, they did not keep quiet. Seth and Kyle both possessed the intuition, and they showed that by brainstorming big ideas and future deadlines, while Ariel and I were both sensors who like to think about concrete information. I was the only one in the group who was thinking rather than feeling. In the group, I liked to only do the tasks that I knew were going to work out based on logic and reason, where everyone else in the group was very open to making decisions based on individual situations, so that worked out really well. Finally, Seth and Ariel are both judging, while Kyle and I are perceiving. Seth and Ariel used their J qualities to stay on task and organized, while Kyle and I were more inclined to act spontaneously and free-spirited. Overall, our group worked very well together. We had a lot of fun doing this project and seemed to get along great as a group, but also as friends. Meetings were normally very productive as well as lighthearted. There was a lot of laughing and sarcasm in every meeting, but when it came down to it, we all worked really hard to pull off this presentation. Now, Ariel is going to go into some more detail about how our group functioned, as well as the overall strengths and weaknesses of our team.
Thank you, Laura. So I will be going into more depth about our strengths and weaknesses, specifically how they played out in relation to our dysfunction and attention to results, as well as talk about the team assessment done in class and how that played a role in our team function as well. So for our MBTI, as Laura mentioned, 2 of us are P's and 2 of us are J's. And according to the Myers-Briggs Foundation, common strengths of J's include that they are very task-oriented and detail-oriented. That's probably due to the fact that they like to make lists and tend to focus in and zoom in on things. And P's are extremely open-minded and imaginative, and you can see that because they kind of like to mix their work with play. And our team weaknesses kind of played off of our strengths as well. So because J's are really task-oriented and detail-oriented, they may come off as too professional and may not get very personal with others. And P's tend to get easily distracted because they're so imaginative and they may not think their ideas all the way through. But our team dynamic was really good in that our J's balanced out our P's. So rather than us just working from 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, whenever Laura and Kyle would have really big ideas, Seth and I would kind of like bring them down and like fine tune them and put them together. So it definitely worked out that way, that we had ideas from really outside the box perspectives, and then we were able to bring them to the nitty gritty detail and get them organized and got our project done. Our team, in relation to our dysfunction, like I said, we were able to look at the overall project from a wide range and zoom in, which helps us understand our flaws as well as to work on them as well. And it also aided in providing different points of views and stimulated further discussions and brought to life all of our meetings. So based on our team assessment, we found that our weakness was accountability, and our strengths were conflict and commitment. But we didn't see much of our weakness, accountability, and this may be due to the fact that it scored a 6, so it really wasn't that prevalent. But we definitely did see our strengths, but we had a 7.75 and 7.5 in commitment and conflict. And we all engaged in discussion, so that allowed us to hear different points of views, and we would argue for our own points of views, and that allowed us to get the project done. And we were all very committed to it. We all have different engagements that we have to be at, especially coming down to the end of the semester. It's really hectic for everyone, not just us, but you guys as well. So we all like figured out times that we could meet, put other things on the back burner, and overall just tried our best to get the overall project done. And that just allowed us to make the best of our time, and we would always leave our meetings knowing what we would get done and what direction we were now heading. So now, Seth would conclude and give us our conclusion statement and wrap us all up.
Thank you, Ariel. So as you can see, inattention to results often comes from not knowing what the shared vision should be, or from individuals acting in a way that distracts from that shared vision and prevents the team from reaching that. We as a team managed to avoid that by making sure that we paid attention to our results and we did our best to put together the best presentation possible through our shared vision and our hard work. Thank you.